Hi everybody, welcome back to Be in the Glow. So this week I thought I would show you guys how I like to use the Pilates Magic Circle to stretch. Now the Magic Circle is an excellent tool to create some torture that my clients definitely love to hate, but we also use it to stretch. So I like to place it on the arches of my feet as you see, and pulling into the waist I begin to hinge my torso and chest down towards my thighs. And then stacking back up around the spine and curl the tailbone and reach backwards. This is also a great stretch through the tops of the shoulders and throughout the shoulder girdle. I go back and forth, reaching back towards the thighs and then stacking the spine back up, rounding the tailbone and rounding backwards. I love the stretch that it creates when you're curling the tailbone and really hanging back in opposition because it stretches specifically the rhomboid muscles, which is what attaches the scapula to your spinal column. And I'm really just doing this to try to warm up the body. Just get everything open and moving to go a little bit deeper. And clearly this is where I always start to notice that I have stuff on my pants and pick it off. I think we all do that. Then I'll start with one leg, and I'm going to start with my right. And I like to lift it up, still keeping the circle on the arch of my foot. I articulate my spine down into the mat. Now this is where if you are tight in your hamstrings, and clearly I am not as tight as others, you can bend that opposite leg. So in this case, you can bend that left knee, keeping the left foot flat on the mat. And I'm just going to start by keeping my right leg straight and then crossing my midline. You see I have my right hand on the outside of my right thigh, and what I'm actually doing is taking my right thumb and pressing it more into where the joint of the hip is. And then I like to externally rotate my foot, pull it down. And if you have a little cramping, which is what I was doing right there, you can reset. So again, I like to externally rotate, pull the shape down towards my right shoulder. And that's just going to get a little bit deeper and more towards the hip flexors and on the inside of the thigh. Straightening it back out and then externally rotating it again, pulling it down a little bit deeper. And again, if you kind of feel some cramping or some like twinging, I guess you could say, always revisit bending, and that's what I'm doing right now. So even as a flexible person as I am, I still have my moments where I'm pulling too much, and I don't want to encourage, just because you're stretching, you don't want to encourage bad behavior throughout your stretching. So when you're feeling your max, then stop, come out of it and reset. Then I'm opening my leg off to the side. So again, keeping it within the range of the right shoulder. And stretching is all about the mental connection to your body as well. So as you're doing this, you really want to put your mental effort and energy into releasing any noted tension in your body. So anything that you notice, you mentally need to go there and say, okay, I need to let go of this, and breathe through your stretching. I've now opened my leg more to an L shape versus towards the diagonal of my shoulder. And then letting it kind of hang heavy while still keeping the left hip bone down. I've now actually etched my way towards the side of the equipment that I'm on, so the table. And you see that I've pulled my ribs down, and the magic circle is now across the top of my right ankle. And I'm encouraging the pull back. What this is doing is it's stretching through the top of the hip flexors and the psoas. While keeping my back ribs connected to the mat, I'm then going to pull the opposite leg towards my chest. This just gets a little bit deeper into that hip flexor stretch and is totally optional. It's something that's just a little extra. So once I've completed the stretching on the right side, I like to go back and revisit that double leg stretch in my seated position. just doing exactly as I was doing in the very beginning, but this time, because I'm a little bit warmer, I typically can get a little bit deeper into my stretch. Then carrying over to the left leg, and you'll see me having to adjust quite a bit, and a lot of times that's what I was saying earlier, is that I start pulling into areas that are just unnecessary. Most common are the tops of my shoulders and through my trapezius muscles. The traps are really big, and we hold tension so often and so much in the trap muscles, so it's always good to readjust and let that unwanted tension go. So finishing up on the left side, doing the exact same thing as I did on the right, and still keeping that right hip present on the mat and connected. So once again, I'm stretching out the opposite side of my psoas by letting my leg hang off and pulling the right leg towards the chest. Okay, so now once I've stretched both sides of the right and left, I put both feet back into the magic circle, and what I'm going to work on now is hinging at the hip while keeping my spine through the sacrum connected onto the mat. So oftentimes we pull our legs towards us to get a nice hamstring stretch, which does feel good, but we end up letting a huge part of our lumbar come off of the mat. And what I'm trying to do here is keeping the entire spine from top to bottom all the way on the mat while I literally let the femur bones roll in the socket and the thighs come towards my chest. And you can see where I'm about to pop my hand underneath, and I can tell that I am letting too much of my body come off of the mat. Right there. So just kind of giving myself more awareness that I need to keep more of a lower half. And also, as I'm doing this oppositionally, I'm pressing my pubic bone away from me, so pushing the tailbone down away from the belly button. Then I can let the whole shape come off a little bit more and continue to pull the entire shape back down. And then the last thing that I really like to do to finish up my stretching is lengthen my body all the way out flat on the mat by pointing my toes, reaching my fingertips in opposite directions. So from the center of the core, from the navel, each pulling as though someone's pulling your wrists in one direction and pulling your ankles in the other. And that's really it. That's kind of how I like to stretch using the magic circle. Thank you guys so much, and keep following for more videos. Bye!